Good morning, everyone. Razorblade Mango here. So, I just got back from my morning run and I opened my laptop just to kind of do my usual morning fun stuff while I just relaxed, drank water, and sipped on my coffee. And I go to Twitter and the first thing I see is this news. So, I haven't read this article yet. It comes from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg, which at this point, anything that Jason Schreier puts out, I consider just to be like official news from these studios that they don't want you to know about. Like Sony might as well just announce this publicly, just now that Schreier's got it out there. It's like, dude, once Schreier gets it out there, like, yeah. So it says PlayStation reboots. I can't even say this title without laughing. PlayStation reboots Horizon Hunters Gathering as live service strategy struggles. Struggles is one way to put it. So the Japanese gaming titan has canceled or rebooted most of its live service multiplayer projects in recent years. Yeah. So let's see what happened. I'm not gonna read the AI blurb. Let's see how much. It's not too long. I guess I can read all of it. So Sony Group Corp's PlayStation division is overhauling Horizon Hunters Gathering, the online action game it announced earlier this year, following negative player feedback, according to people familiar with the company's plans. Guerrilla Games, the Amsterdam-based PlayStation subsidiary behind the Horizon franchise, has been working to reboot the game since June, said people, speaking anonymously because they were not authorized to speak publicly about the project's future. Following poor feedback to private testing earlier this year, the plan now is to strip out the live service component and turn it into more of a traditional cooperative multiplayer game with a story mode and far smaller scope. The game is not canceled. Oh my god. But the studio told staff in a meeting on Wednesday that they will have through December to impress executives with their next milestone, the people said. Many of the developers on Horizon Hunters Gathering will be reassigned to a different project that will also be evaluated at the end of the year. Oh, they have another one? Oh. I wonder if that's a live service too. Okay, so thoughts about this before I continue. And obviously a representative of PlayStation declined to comment. Of course they're going to decline to comment. Yeah, this I mean, look, I will admit that the idea of a Horizon live service is one of the very few that I consider to make sense for PlayStation. Because Horizon as a series and with its world is, I would say, is actually a good template for a live service game. What I envisioned it being all these years before it was officially revealed earlier this year was being something like a game where you and a few friends go out in an open world and just kind of like do quests and there's like maybe a story component. You co-op fight monsters together, you like fuck around and do a bunch of cool stuff. And I imagined it kind of not exactly maybe in the exact same art direction as Horizon, because there are some limitations with it being a multiplayer game. I don't think they could go on like the full Decima engine shit, because I think that would just be too much. But slightly downscaled, but I still think it could have been fun. When they revealed Horizon Hunters Gathering, I was initially like, I looked at it and I thought, besides the stupid ass looking characters, because like what I don't mind about Horizon Hunters Gathering is the general art style. I don't mind it. I think it looks okay. It's just the general tone that it goes for that I don't like, because it has that very like snarky, quippy Marvel thing to it that it's like, it's got shades of that. And then the characters I think look fucking awful, especially the lady, the big fat lady with the peg leg. I'm like, what the fuck is this? What are we doing? And then I found out later that it wasn't this big, massive open world. It was more something like Night Rain, or like Elden Ring Night Rain, where you go out and it's like you do like Destiny strikes, and you go out and you're on like a time limit and the map just gets smaller or something like that with certain ones, or you go in and the Destiny strike is kind of like in the cauldrons in Horizon, which are kind of like the dungeons you go inside. But and then I found that out, and I went, oh, well, now I'm significantly less interested because this doesn't sound like what I wanted from a Horizon live service if they were actually going to do one. Actually, that one from NCSoft, the Steel Frontiers, that actually kind of looks more in line with what I was expecting this to look like, because it's so strange, because I always said I thought the projects like flipped, where the NCSoft project Steel Frontiers looks like what I thought the Guerrilla Games project was going to look like, and then the Guerrilla Games project, which was Hunter's Gathering, is what I thought the NCSoft one would look like. It's the really bizarre situation, but yeah, I had heard through the grapevine too that I think the most positive feedback I heard from the closed betas were kind of like, like that was kind of like, it's okay is kind of the best I heard from the feedback that was kind of like off the record from some people that like leaked it to the press or stuff like that, or I heard through the grapevine from people who got to play it. So this doesn't surprise me that there was poor feedback from the private testing throughout the year. But what I find remarkable is that they are basically learning. It's like they're learning a really expensive lesson again, and it's funny too, because one of Herman Hulst's like famous lines or infamous lines now is, if we want to fail, we want to fail early and cheaply. And they haven't done that at all with some of these live services. Like Marathon is a very expensive failure. I'm sure Fair Games, or whatever the fuck they're gonna call it, is gonna be a very expensive failure. Even with the Canadian government like money pit that they're allowed to get because they're working in Canada. And then this has been in the works for, God, I heard rumblings about this project before before Forbidden West came out. So that must have been like 2020, 2021 that I first heard about this project. I think even before Forbidden West was announced, I'd been hearing rumblings that they were doing a multiplayer Horizon game. So, and then Amsterdam is a very expensive place to develop out of, and Guerrilla is because they're working with like Decima, and they have like a lot of like big talent over there, and it's like that's an expensive studio to run. That's one of their most expensive, and I can't imagine they're gonna get like a big windfall of money, because I imagine that Horizon 3 is still very, 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 very far away, because most of their attention has been on, like the vast majority of the studio's attention and resources has been on this Hunter's Gathering thing. And I look at it and I'm just like, why? Like, why is this the thing you're hinging your studio on? Like, I don't get it. And also it speaks to my theory as well that Horizon, I don't think, outside of like the two main games, I don't think Horizon is this like, I don't think it's the franchise that PlayStation thinks it is, because we've already seen things kind of like come and go, like the VR game that bombed, and then you had that crappy ass Lego game that bombed that no one gave a shit about. I feel like I'm one of the very, very few people who actually like took the time to play it and platinum it, and man, no wonder people avoided it. It fucking sucked. So fucking boring. But it's like, this is kind of like what I've been saying with these multiplayer games. It's like, dude, you gotta start small. You gotta start with a small scope, and then if it misses, then it's like, okay, you haven't spent a lot of money. It's like, it still sucks that it flopped, but you didn't spend an assload of money. But then it's like PlayStation just didn't. I don't know. They don't get it. It almost seems like PlayStation is not well versed in live services. And it's almost like they don't have the expertise to do it correctly. And now they're gonna say, fuck it, we're gonna take out the live service crap and turn it into a more traditional co-op multiplayer game with story mode and a far smaller scope. Which I don't know what that means. I don't know if they're just gonna do like a small like campaign, or if they're gonna just keep like the Night Rain Destiny Strike structure that it has, and they're not gonna make it this big open world thing. Which, again, if they're just gonna make it into like a traditional co-op game with no live service crap, but it's still gonna be the same thing with like the fucking bland story and they're just gonna keep the Night Rain Destiny strikes. I'm good. I'll pass. I really don't want to spend $40 on this, honestly. But this also, it's like they have until December, which is not a long time in the world of game development, but I don't know what that means. What is like the benchmark to impress executives with their next milestone? It's like, what's going to happen? Is just the project just going to be canceled and then people are just going to get laid off? And then they also have a different project which will be evaluated at the end of the year. I doubt that's Horizon 3 because I'm pretty sure Horizon 3 is still in like pre-production just because they can't juggle these projects right now, and again, it just speaks to Sony's like horrifically poor studio management that they've had over these last few years. Like horrifically poor. I mean, man, just I mean, I almost wish like if Jason Schreier wrote a book one day. Here's if Jason Schreier ever sees this. Here's an idea for you, dude. If you ever wrote a book interviewing people about this whole like botched live service thing, I would buy a copy like immediately. I don't care, like $30-$40 book, I'll buy it. I'd be fascinated to hear the behind the scenes stuff about this because something very obviously went wrong. But anyway, for the last few years, PlayStation has poured resources into so-called live service games, online titles that are continually updated and expanded with new content and can be monetized long after they are released. These games can be highly lucrative, but are risky to make and often struggle to resonate with players in an oversaturated market. The initiative at PlayStation has mostly led to canceled projects and shuttered studios, forcing the Japanese gaming giant to pull back from plans to release more than a dozen live service games this decade. God, that was such a stupid plan. Like, oh my god. This is giving me like I haven't really talked about PlayStation in a while, so it's like reading all of this again. It's like, oh god, it's like dredging up like all these like bad memories that I'm like, oh god. Like it's giving me nightmares of like the Blue Point shutdown where it's like, man, like what the fuck? But yeah, dude, it's I mean, I've said this like making a live service game is like these days is like throwing dice into like a fucking like a giant like wind tunnel. It's like you're trying to like throw it on the table and score like some like a win, but then you have this big fan that's just blowing your dice all over the fucking place and you have no idea like what's gonna happen. Um because you spend, I mean, as we've seen like the likes of like Concord and Suicide Squad and whatnot, just because you spend a lot of money on a project does not automatically guarantee success. And then the inverse of that is true, is that sometimes a game that really people just don't really spend a lot of money on can blow up into this big thing when they like manage their budgets reasonably and set their expectations to a reasonable degree. It could end up being this big thing that resonates with people. But the problem is that as we've seen with the likes of like Arc Raiders, is that there's like a peak and then there's a plummet. And that's the struggle, is that once that plummet starts, it's like, okay, now what are you going to do? And that's where I've seen Arc Raiders kind of like struggle, which is interesting. The Horizon Hunters Gathering pivot is the latest example of PlayStation's failure to crack the live service market with its biggest franchises. Sony expanded its gaming empire during the 2010s by focusing on narrative-driven single-player games that drew players to the PS4 and helped the console sell more than 117 million units. But with the PS5 this decade, the company has tried to convert many of those franchises to multiplayer and found very little success. PlayStation has canceled live service projects and franchises including God of War, Spider-Man, and The Last of Us. The failed efforts have burned through hundreds of millions of dollars and years of development time, according to people familiar with the matter. Yeah. I mean, what a gigantic waste of time this whole thing has been. In 2022, the company spent $3.6 billion to acquire Destiny developer Bungie in an effort to help improve its live service portfolio. But that acquisition has also struggled, that's putting it mildly. This year, Bungie released the new game Marathon to underwhelming sales, put an end to Destiny 2 content, and laid off hundreds of staff. Guerrilla found significant critical and commercial success in 2017 with Horizon Zero Dawn, a single-player action game set in a post-apocalyptic North America. A sequel, Horizon Forbidden West, came out in 2022 and ended with a cliffhanger that left fans eager for the next game. But the majority of Guerrilla staff then moved to Horizon Hunters Gathering, a drastic departure from their previous titles, both in gameplay and art style. A tiny team has been plotting out the next single-player Horizon game, but it remains years away from completion, according to the people familiar with the studio's plans. Ay, ay, ay. What a fucking mess, dude. Oh my god. And then next year, it'll be like 5 years since Horizon Forbidden West, and it's like years away still, which I I I I just don't understand why they didn't. I mean, I know why they did it, because they got like the fucking Looney Tunes dollar signs in their eyes and wanted to try to crack the live service thing under Jimbo and then fucking stupid ass Herman Holst. But it's really remarkable that we're about to hit the 5 year gap when we could have gotten Horizon 3. We could have gotten Horizon 3 as kind of like a cross gen PS6 launch title if they do still plan to launch that in the fall of 2027, which I think would be an incredibly stupid idea. But this is PlayStation we're talking about, who these days are like the fucking lords of stupid ideas. And this is one of them, making this like dumbass live service to a game. And like, the thing with this is that they probably could have gotten away with this a little bit better if they had developed this in like a smaller scale from the begin with alongside Horizon 3. But the fact that they diverted so many resources away from Horizon 3 to work on this, the game that like really not a lot of people want compared to Horizon 3, it's just going to make the people who like Horizon turn on you because you're not giving them what they actually want. They don't want this like cartoony MCU-ish like live service thing that is like Night Rain and Destiny. They want Horizon 3. Like, for better or for worse. And I'm not the biggest Horizon fan, but I personally, even though I'm kind of like indifferent towards Horizon 3 at this point, I would much rather play that than this Hunter's Gathering thing, because it's like, all right, it's like it's going to be yet another like safe cookie cutter focus tested into oblivion with like Sony single player action, third person action adventure kind of thing with like a story all about trauma or emotions and family or whatever whatever generic crap they like to write about these days at their studio. But I would much rather play that over like Hunter's Gathering. Like, I mean, it's another example with like Wolverine. It's like I think Wolverine looks cool and all, but like I know what I'm getting from it at this point. Where it's just, like I said, it's gonna be yet another like fucking third person action adventure, over the shoulder, fucking focus tested into oblivion, safe cookie cutter Sony single player game that is all about family and trauma and love or whatever generic crap they want to write about. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about this. I don't know how long this video has been, but I just wanted to get my thoughts out on this because I haven't talked a lot on the channel, and just because I've kind of been taking a step back in recent months. But this is one of the things, this and like Kingdom Hearts 4, I will gladly come back for and like talk about, because like I actually have something to say. Because this is this is like, I think I once called this PlayStation Live Service initiative like the disaster that keeps on exploding. And like, this is yet another one of these like little mini explosions. And honestly, at this point, I would not be shocked if they were to just cancel this. Like, if December comes around and Guerrilla does not impress the Sony executives, like whatever that means, then I am just gonna like, I'm not gonna be surprised. It's like, again, what's that quote from Herman Hulse? Like, they want to fail. If they want to fail, they want to fail early and cheaply. It would just be a lot better to like kill this thing in the cradle and just give the people what they want, versus spending more years and more time and more money on this, and then it comes out and it just kind of is like whatever anyway. Like, it gets the response that like Marathon did, where it can't even like, it like cracks not even like 1.5 million in like the first month that it's out or something. Or what's like Marathon at now? Like, I would imagine it's probably at like maybe less than 2 million, maybe at about 2 million or something like that. But it's just they don't want that, because it's just, and again, like, what's gonna happen then when it, like, if it does come out and it's like they have to support it and they have to update it, or maybe they don't, and I don't fucking know. I find this whole situation just to be like a gigantic disaster. And like I've made like podcasts about this. I've dedicated whole streams to talking about this live service initiative. But I just at the end of the day, I just like when I just look at this, like I just sit here and just like I just laugh and just like shake my head. And I'm like, man, what happened to you? This is like what happened to you, PlayStation? This is like, man, it's like watching a friend that you once knew, like a really cool friend that you once knew, become like a gigantic boring asshole. And it sucks. Like it really like any like I mean I get like some kind of like Schadenfreude out of this because it is funny, and it could have been completely avoidable if more intelligent, more like perceptive managers were at the helm of this brand. But it, there also is like a hurt that comes with it when I look at things like this, and it's just God, like, man, what a waste. What a giant waste of time. So, anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Goodbye.